talk about drills. Others get caught
Yeah.
doing them, on camera. In this video, we're looking at drill rappers who didn't just rap about sliding. They got seen doing it. Real shootings, real footage, real consequences. These aren't just lyrics or rumors. These are documented moments where the streets met the lens. From wild shootouts to broad day retaliation, each of these rappers ended up caught on surveillance, IG Live, or cell phone footage doing exactly what they rapped about. This ain't speculation. This is drill rappers who done drills on camera. Lil Jeff's last day alive played out like a war clip. On June 8th, 2024, he wasn't on music business. He wasn't in a club. He was sliding in enemy territory with full intent. Trap City blocks, broad daylight, riding in a striker,
Seen this.
and it was all caught on camera. One Trap City member reportedly spotted him first and darted into a house. Jeff jumped out the striker and ran straight toward the
Yo,
house. No
they saying that's Q50 in the red. Well, we know it's Q50 because they were saying like after Jeff had, you know what I'm saying, checked out, Q50 brought him to the hospital or whatever, and they had caught him on like the hospital, you know what I'm saying, security footage for CCTV, and it was like Q50 in the same, you know what I'm saying, little red jumpsuit, Nike Tech, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so that was he was limping to it on the video. He had like tripped, like he did a split or something.
member reportedly spotted him
He,
first and darted
he
into a
limping.
house. Jeff jumped out the striker and ran
He took
straight toward the
the leg
house.
over something.
No
Something.
hesitation, no hesitation. What he had in his hands appeared to be a pistol, not his usual Draco. That part would become a big conversation later, because the way he moved suggested he was ready for war. But the tool he had wasn't what he was known for. Cameras nearby captured the next few seconds in full. Jeff raised the pistol and started
This is
dumping
crazy.
rounds directly into the house. Not a warning, not a tap shot. He let the clip go, fast and loud. Multiple shots flying in broad daylight. No cover, no backup, just him and the block. This wasn't a drive-by. This was a full-blown on-foot drill with no escape plan. Neighbors in the area ducked for cover. Some reportedly called 911 before the final shot even rang out. But the real twist came seconds later.
That bro in
As
the yellow
Jeff
shorts,
turned
he
and
got up out of there. Yeah, he got up out of there. Jeff was not playing, but now this is crazy though, bro. Like, and then why was he so thirsty to kill, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Your homie's still back there shooting from afar. You know what I'm saying? You going, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do I word this? It's like he was over thirsty, you know what I'm saying, to kill him. You know what I'm saying? And that could have, like, you know what I'm saying, saved his life. Like, he just, like, I'm not even gonna say it's really his fault. I mean, it is kind of his fault for, you know what I'm saying, like, chasing after him. Like, you don't know what he got in the house, you know what I'm saying? And then that's what happened, you know what I'm saying? Somebody from the house shot him, you know what I'm saying? He didn't expect it. But at the same time, his homies, you know what I'm saying, they ain't even, you know what I'm saying, have his back or nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know how the angles was or whatever, but at the same time, that's Jeff's fault too, because like you shouldn't have chased them like that. You don't know what the hell they got in the house. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, his homie should have had his back. You know what I'm saying? But I did see in the video that they had came back from him. You know what I'm saying? Of course, took him to the hospital, like I said. But that shit was crazy.
began backing up, possibly reloading or looking to move off the scene. Return fire came from inside or behind the house. The same Trap City member he was chasing, identified by
And
street
it's
sources as
crazy because
Trap
he was
City
really
Rob,
rapping
had
about this shit,
circled
like
back and started
following
shooting.
somebody in their house and
Jeff
trying to
was
kill him.
hit.
It's
He
crazy.
dropped to the pavement.
And
Footage
that's how he
shows him
died. You know
stumble,
what I'm saying?
then collapse fully. It happened fast. When the video surfaced in certain circles, the reaction was instant. People didn't know what to say. Some thought it was fake.
Yeah, and then this is how I kind of, I'm gonna stop pausing, but this is how I kind of, you feel me, found out about Lil Jeff. They just had posted on Instagram like Chicago rapper Lil Jeff has died, and it had the footage of him dying or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. Like he was already, you know what I'm saying, popular back then, but how he is now, like it's crazy how like people can just become so much, got gain so much notoriety, so much, you know what I'm saying, just become famous after they die, and they don't even get to, you know what I'm saying, enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? That shit crazy.
Some thought it was a setup, but those close to the situation confirmed it. The footage was real, and it showed Lil Jeff's final drill. It wasn't an ambush. He wasn't caught lacking. He went there to press something and got met with real smoke. What made this moment stand out wasn't just that it was violent. Drill culture has seen violent moments, but rarely do you see the entire timeline unfold in such a raw, unedited way. Jeff pulling up, Jeff hopping out, Jeff firing, Jeff getting hit, Jeff dying, all of it captured in one continuous sequence. There was no mystery about who did it. There was
That's
no
what
waiting
killed
on
him, they said.
autopsy reports or speculation on
Rob.
social media. It was
Trap
all
City
there.
Rob.
Street sources pointed the finger at Trap City Rob almost immediately. He was the target Jeff had chased. He was the one
Nah,
who
he
ran
wasn't
into
the
the
target.
house.
He was. They said he was not the target. You can tell by the video like Rob is, you know what I'm saying, he's a bigger dude, like, you know what I'm saying, a little husky, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, a little chubby or whatever. The dude in the yellow shorts, he wasn't chubby, you know what I'm saying? I think it went. Rob is the dude that shot was at, you know what I'm saying, that was in the house or whatever. Like you can't see from the angle, of course, but that, and then the house is like he had said in the interview that's his grandma's house, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was Rob. That wasn't him chasing him. That Rob was just, I guess, at the door waiting.
He was the one who reportedly circled behind and clapped back. And while Jeff had slid on plenty before, this time, the city watched it happen, frame by frame. After the footage hit social media in Fragments Q50 posted an emotional tribute message to Lil Jeff saying, "Damn folks, my big brother, my twin, my other half, just like you said, though, this wasn't gonna do none but make me worse. I'm done crying though, I'm just finna do what he told me to." His father, Jeffrey Harris, would post the day after, a message that sparked backlash but also showed how personal the death really was, when he said, "DAM, folks, my big brother, my twin, my other half. Just like you said, the dish wasn't gonna do none but make me worse. I'm done crying though, I'm just finna do what you told me to." Some blamed Harris for encouraging the same street behavior that got his son killed. Others said he was just grieving. Either way, it added fuel to a fire that was already blazing. Some argued he was moving without a plan. Others said that's just how the real ones move. What can't be debated is that Jeff died doing what he always rapped about, catching
fact.
ops, bouncing out, and letting
He
the
was
clip
living
off.
what he was rapping.
The
bro.
only
Can't
difference
take that
this
away from
time
him.
was the ending, and the camera made sure nobody could rewrite it. Jeff's death was a rare moment of brutal truth. It showed what happens when the music lines up exactly with the street reality. No filter, no label interference, just action, consequence, and loss, all in real time. Lil Durk's drill on camera. Lil Durk's name always carried weight in the drill scene.
I never
But
heard
what
about
happened
this.
on
That's they
February
talking
5th,
about Lil
2019,
Pop. That
pushed him into a whole different category. That morning, just before sunrise, an incident went down in the parking lot of the Varsity, a popular late-night food spot in Atlanta. Surveillance footage would later capture what appeared to be a heated argument turning deadly, with multiple people involved, including Durk, King Von, and another affiliate named Bezu.
I think I did hear
Target?
about this.
A man named Alexander Weatherspoon. He wasn't just some bystander. He had a reputation back in Chicago for credit fraud and being affiliated with the Vice Lords. Whatever was said during that confrontation didn't stay verbal for long. Within seconds, the silence of the early morning was broken by a burst of gunfire. 13 shots were let off. Weatherspoon was hit in the leg, specifically the femoral artery, a wound that left him bleeding out as he tried to escape. He made it across the street before collapsing in front of a cigar lounge, surrounded by panicked witnesses.
They did, Sean. They were flying. Police found several shell casings in this parking lot. The Varsity was closed at the time this happened, around 5:45 this morning. But this club across Spring Street was open, and one patron who was parked in the Varsity lot to go to that club told me what he...
Police arrived quickly, finding shell casings from two different firearms, one being a pistol, the other a rifle. A 9mm handgun was also recovered at the scene. But the shooters had already fled in a black SUV, customized with the number 300 on its side, a detail that would later come back to haunt Durk and his team. For months, the case went quiet. But that silence broke in May. First, King Von was picked up in Chicago. 9 days later, Bezu was arrested. Then, on May 29th, the Atlanta police issued a warrant for Lil Durk's arrest. The charges were heavy: attempted criminal intent, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
What the fuck? Niggas have on the beat, man.
Durk's arrest. The charges were heavy: attempted criminal intent, aggravated
Yo, what type of shirt is that?
assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony.
What type of shirt?
For a drill rapper who'd already fought his way through the system, this was the biggest threat to his freedom yet. What stood out to fans and authorities wasn't just the list of charges. It was the fact that everything seemed to point to Dirk being directly involved. According to court testimony from detectives, witnesses identified someone believed to be Dirk holding a firearm during the shooting. One of the key pieces of evidence was a woman who said she saw Dirk standing outside during the incident and that he was armed. But it didn't stop there. Law enforcement presented footage that they claimed showed someone reaching out the window of the SUV, the same one with 300 printed on the side, and firing. Detectives believe that arm belonged to Lil Durk. Whether or not it was him, the video was enough to get prosecutors to call the shooting gang-related, with connections back to the Black Disciples in Chicago. The bond hearing was intense. Prosecutors pushed to keep Dirk in jail, but the judge ended up granting a $250,000 bond under strict conditions: ankle monitor, curfew, and absolutely no firearms. He walked out of jail that night and went live on Instagram almost immediately. King Von would follow the next day on a $300,000 bond. Out on bond, Dirk's moves changed. He kept his distance from Von and started...
Dirk the one that shot him. He get a $250,000 bond. They didn't say nothing about King Von shooting him, but he get a $300,000 bond. How the hell that work?
focusing on music, dropping tracks, and trying to rebrand himself as more of a businessman than a shooter. But the energy surrounding the case never faded, especially since prosecutors had built it on both physical evidence and surveillance, the kind that shows actions, not just rumors. That's what made this situation so significant. Lil Durk, one of the biggest names in drill, was being accused of drilling in front of cameras. In the end, Durk beat the Varsity case, but it never really left him. He went from potentially facing 20 years to walking free, but the memory of that surveillance footage, of those 13 shots caught on tape, still lingers.
It's crazy.
The footage was never released to the public, but what
man.
prosecutors saw in that video was enough to try to put one of rap's biggest stars in prison. That's why Lil Durk is one of the most controversial examples of a drill rapper who allegedly drilled on camera. His case never reached trial. There was no verdict, but everything about that morning at the Varsity, Sugar Hill Keem's drill on camera. Sugar Hill Keem was already making noise in Harlem, but the day he let off shots in broad daylight, caught on camera, was the moment the internet really put a face to the name. It wasn't a music video. It wasn't a reenactment. This was real street action with real consequences, and Keem right in the middle of it. The footage shows him walking through the city with Blockwork, who at the time was still his close friend. They're moving regular, just two rappers outside, broad daylight. Then a whip pulls up slow, too slow for it to be normal. Keem clocked it immediately. In seconds, he's upping what looked like a Glock pistol and firing. No cover, no ducking, no hesitation. He let off multiple rounds while standing in the open, returning fire like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. The ops in the car drove off. Keem, he stayed posted, not even breaking his stance, like nothing had just happened. That right there stamped him in New York drill. It was one thing to talk about sliding, but to do it in public, on video, with witnesses, no mask, no fear, that was a different level. And the weapon? The Glock, his favorite, his go-to in the streets and in the booth. The real twist came in May 2022. Keem was already on parole when he went live on Instagram, flashing what appeared to be the same Glock he let off during that street altercation. NYPD had been watching him. They were just waiting for him to slip. That live stream, that was all they needed. Keem was arrested the same day and later hit with a 5-year sentence. The weapon that made him feared in Harlem was the same one that got him sent upstate. But his bond with the Glock went even deeper than music or lives. Years earlier, Keem and Blockwork had already been through a similar situation. They got pulled over in an Uber, riding dirty. Police found a gun in the vehicle. Nobody snitched officially, but after they got out, Keem went public calling Blockwork a rat. That fallout led to one of Harlem Drill's loudest splits, with Keem and Sha E.K. dissing Blockwork on record. But the root of it all, that Glock in the car. Right now, Keem is serving his sentence. His next parole opportunity isn't until 2027. By the time he gets out, the landscape of New York drill might be completely different. But no matter how things change, that footage of him up in the Glock in public will always be a part of his legacy. Sugar Hill Keem ain't just known for rapping about drills. He's one of the few who actually got caught doing one, on camera, with the same weapon he always talked about. That's why when people talk about rappers who really let it off in real life, Keem's name always comes up. No mask, no disguise, just a Glock in his hand and a point to prove.
So he blew
Lil Tim's drill on camera.
cold, though.
By 2020, Lil Tim's name was nowhere near rap circles yet. But that would all change on November 6, 2020, the night King Von was killed outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. That night, Quando Rondo and his crew were posted outside the club when King Von and his team pulled up. Surveillance footage showed it all. Von stepped straight up to Quando and started swinging. No talking, no warnings, just fists flying.
How I feel about King Von death, like King Von died, I ain't gonna fake. I don't feel like he should have died that night. Cause, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get both parties, you feel me? Like, I don't even know why King Von and Quando Rondo was really beefing for real, but shit, obviously it couldn't have been that serious, because we know, like, everybody know how King Von was, like, you know what I'm saying? He's a real killer, you feel me? And then he wasn't on that, you feel me? He just came, I will admit, he did sneak Quando, you feel me? Like, I can't really go back. I really want to say, you know what I'm saying, sneak, but it's like, damn, like, you could have been like, yo, run my ones real quick, you feel me?
Quando Rondo and his crew were posted outside the club when King Von and his team pulled up.
He walking up.
Surveillance footage showed it all. Von stepped straight up to
he ain't sneaking, but it's like, damn, you could have been like, yo, run my ones real quick. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got a problem. Because it's not the problem, not that serious, because you know King Von was, he didn't shoot him nothing like that. He ain't trying to that. So y'all could have just ran y'all ones. But then, you know what I'm saying, Lil Tim or whatever, I don't like, this video was like years ago, so I don't remember exactly what happened. But I know he came out the car or whatever. He shot, you know what I'm saying, King Von. They was just like, yo, they ran in 30s, you know what I'm saying, 30 seconds. All that shit would have been squashed, you know what I'm saying? But I get what Lil Tim was doing, though, you feel me? Because King Von was beating his ass. I ain't gonna fake. He was whooping his ass. But yeah, I mean, and then King Von homies, they gotta be watching that, like, yo, he beating the shit out of him. Like, we gotta, you know what I'm saying, make sure they don't, you know what I'm saying, niggas a part of, you know what I'm saying, Quando Rondo little team don't get pulled up, you know what I'm saying? They gotta be on that, you know what I'm saying? And then even as the, you know what I'm saying, King Von homies, why are y'all like why are y'all letting him be, you know what I'm saying, in the front? You know what I'm saying? He the breadwinner, you know what I'm saying? Like, this nigga should be in the back. He shouldn't be hitting nobody, you know what I'm saying? It should be y'all like, hey yo, we gonna jump real quick, you know what I'm saying? King Von, you get up out of here, you know what I'm saying? Now the breadwinner gone, because you know what I'm saying? And then I could probably get that, like, King Von was probably like, nah, I want to do it. But still, as his homies, I shouldn't have let him do that. You feel me? But either way, it should happen. R.I.P. King Von.
To Quando and started swinging. No talking, no warnings, just fists flying. It set off chaos instantly. Both crews started brawling right there in the street. People swinging, scrambling, reaching. And that's when Lil Tim pulled out his piece. In the middle of the fight, Tim upped a gun, reportedly a Glock, and fired at Von at close range. Von was hit and went down immediately. Tim didn't run.
And then what was crazy is, shit, I think, I don't remember the dude's name, but I know, like, somebody had died that night. Of course, we know King Von had died, but somebody that was around King Von, I think his name was Slutty or whatever, he had died, and then shit, he the one that, cause Lil Tim got shot too, right after he shot Von, you feel me? Lil Tim had got shot, and then, but he had got shot in his hip or his leg or something like that. And then the dude was Slutty, you know what I'm saying, one of the King Von homies, he was standing over him, you know what I'm saying, he's about to, you know what I'm saying, shoot him in the head, but the gun jammed. You know what I'm saying, like that whole night was crazy. And then the Slutty dude, he got shot in the head by the police, you know what I'm saying, nobody even talk about his death. Like, that night was just crazy, bro. And then another dude, I think his name Louis, because I had seen a video about this, a dude named O'Block Louis or whatever, I'm not even sure what his name is. He had caught a headshot. And then the police, they talking to him like, yo, we got somebody on the way to come get you. They not rushing him. Like, this dude is bleeding from his head. Like, he got a bullet, went through his head, everything. You feel me? They just, you know what I'm saying, question him at like he don't got a bullet in his head. Like, they not moving with no type of urgency. Like, that night was crazy.
Didn't freeze. He kept moving, and according to reports, Tim himself got hit by return fire. Still, he managed to get to Quando's car, and Quando was recorded desperately trying to keep him conscious on the way to the hospital.
Come on, Vic, bro, you got this shit, dog. Come on. Cuz, just keep breathing, Vic, bro. Come on. Just keep breathing, cuz.
Hold on, you can't move on that
thing. You got it, bro. My fault.
Yeah.
Man, what you mean wrong side? Come on. Come on, man,
get on,
please. Come on, all right.
Okay.
Get him a wheelchair.
He point of hopping on the live. Shit.
Man, what you mean I gotta stay right here? Man, we need to get them. Man, we need to get them back. They ASAP.
I'm calling.
I put man.
In front of the agent. Let him sit down so he won't.
Get off.
Man, how? He done been shot before.
Okay, sir.
The footage showed it all. Von swinging, the chaos, and the shots that dropped him. For drill fans, it wasn't a diss song, a rumor, or some social media back and forth. It was real street beef exploding on camera. Tim survived his injuries, but right after his surgery, he was arrested and charged with the murder of King Von. At that time, Von was at the peak of his rap career, one of the hottest names in the industry, seen as the next big thing out of Chicago's O Block. Killing someone that high profile brought a storm of attention down on Tim and Quando Rondo. Overnight, Lil Tim became a hated figure for thousands of Von fans and a marked man in the streets. Quando Rondo defended Tim immediately. On the track, End of
Tim
Story,
wasn't in the room.
Quando made it
He wasn't in
clear
the room.
if the situation was reversed, nobody would have hesitated to do the same.
Facts.
If the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't have said he wrong.
Facts. Like,
In his mind, they didn't
let
start.
let Quando, you know what I'm saying? Let Quando would have had, you know what I'm saying, came up on King Von, started beating on him, punching him, you feel me? Then one of, you know what I'm saying, King Von homies, one of them niggas from O Block, they shoot Quando. I guarantee you, like, people would be like, oh, they did what was right, because it's just, people just fuck with King Von where they just fuck with Quando. That's just how that shit is, you feel me?
The beef that night. They just finished it. At the same time, people started digging deeper into what really happened that night. Some speculated that Quando's crew may have instigated the confrontation, possibly even leaking their location to lure Von into a setup. There were no official charges about that, but it added fuel to the fire, making the situation even more volatile. Back on the ground, Tim's legal situation was messy. He was already out on bond from previous charges connected to a Savannah trap house bust, where cops seized guns, drugs, and cash. That made the murder charge even more serious, putting him at risk of decades behind bars. Still, the case against Tim slowly unraveled. As months passed, more evidence came out suggesting that Von had thrown the first punches, and Tim's defense team built a case around self-defense. Georgia law gave them an opening. If Tim reasonably feared for his life, he had the right to shoot. By 2022, it was clear that the murder charge wasn't going to stick the way prosecutors hoped. Finally, in August 2022, Lil Tim's murder charge for killing King Von was officially dropped. Just like that, he walked away from the case that could have buried him for life. But by then, the damage was already done. Tim might have beaten the case, but he couldn't beat the hate. His face was known worldwide. His ops weren't just local anymore. They were everywhere.
Facts.
If you like this video, click on a video on either side to watch a video similar to this one.
Shit, man. We out, man.